The accomplishment of the supreme bodhicitta, called the treasure of blessings. By your great compassion for those in the turbulent realms of degeneration, holding them with the power of 500 great prayers, you are praised by the Buddhas as a white lotus. Just hearing your name is never to return to samsara. I prostrate to the guide of great compassion. In one's ordinary karmic body, above the crown of one's head is a white 1,000-petaled lotus, upon which is a stainless full moon. Upon that is Vajrasattva, who is indivisible with one's extremely kind root Lama. The body of Vajrasattva has the glory of beauty, youth, and complete perfection, pure like a stainless moon. The blessing of his radiant splendor is incomparable, and his unwavering immaculate wisdom is ablaze like the sun. His right hand holds a 5-pointed vajra to his heart, and his left hand holds a bell supported in front of his hip. He is embracing his consort, Nima Karmo. His legs rest in the vajra cross-legged posture. His deep blue hair is tied in a knot at his crown, beautified with a precious jewel. He wears an upper garment of white silk, a lower shirt-like garment with patterned designs variously colored, silk scarves, a blue silk patterned scarf, and sleeves as for dancing. These are the 5 silk garments: the precious jeweled crown, earrings, short throat necklace, middle necklace that reaches to the breasts, bracelets, ankles, belt, and long necklace that reaches just below the navel are the 8 jewel ornaments of adornment. On his lap is Nima Karmo, a youthful 16 years of age, a wheel on her crown symbolizing the wisdom of Dharmadhatu, earrings on the ears symbolizing discerning wisdom, a necklace symbolizing the wisdom of equanimity, a belt symbolizing all-accomplishing wisdom, and bracelets symbolizing mirror-like wisdom are the 5 mudras that adorn her. In her right hand she holds a curved vajra blade, and in her left she holds a skull. She embraces her consort with her arm around his neck. Her 2 legs are in the lotus mudra of embrace, as they abide in union. Both male and female consorts are delicate, flexible, intertwined, graceful, youthful, light, shining, glorious, and radiant, as the 9 signs of wisdom body of the peaceful wisdom deities who abide in the non-dual essence of bliss and emptiness. In Vajrasattva's heart is a full moon disk with a 5-pointed crystal vajra standing upright upon it. In the center of the vajra is a radiantly luminous white syllable hung, standing upright, surrounded by the syllables of the 100-syllable mantra beginning in front of the hung. Om is the supreme mantra, most excellent, beginning praise. Vajrasattva Samaya, the tantric vow of Vajrasattva. Manupalaya Vajrasattva, I beseech you, Vajrasattva, to grant me your protection. Teno pa tishtadrido mebawa, abide firmly in me. Sutokayo mebawa, make me totally satisfied. Supokayo mebawa, increase perfectly within me. Anurato mebawa, be compassionate toward me. Sarasiddhi me prayatsa, by your blessing bestow all attainments upon me. Sarakama sutsa may I also attain the power of all activities. Sitam shriyam kuru, make my mind virtuous. Hung is the essence of wisdom heart. Ha 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 ha, the 4 boundless wishes of bodhicitta, the 4 joys, the 4 empowerments, and the 4 kayas. Ho is the exclamation of joy. Bhagawan Saratathagata, victorious one who embodies all the Tathagatas. Vajra Mame Munsa, Vajrasattva, may you never abandon me. Vajribawa, I pray, please make me a Vajra holder. Mahasamaya Sattva, great Samaya deity. Ah, is to unite indivisibly. Visualize that with the self-sounding of the mantra. This is Darren Littlejohn. Welcome to the 12-Step Buddhist Podcast, episode 62, Microtasking Happiness, how to find clarity in the midst of stupefaction. And continuing with Practices of a Bodhisattva, number 20. If you have not tamed the enemy of your own anger, combating outer opponents will only make them multiply. Therefore, with an army of loving kindness and compassion, to tame your own mind is the practice of a bodhisattva. Well, in AA, it says that anger is the dubious. I'm laughing because I don't know when I heard this, 1984. What year is it now? I have been saying this for that much time, for that long. I've been saying, at periodic intervals, I will admit that anger is the dubious luxury of quote-unquote normal and men, of course. The gender, too specific. Anyways, it's the same sentiment, isn't it? We have to understand that we can't give in to the anger, to the rage. Now, I got to say something as I don't know, I would say, I wouldn't say child of an alcoholic, but I would say, it skipped a generation, grandfather. But my grandmother was an alcoholic. But, in my home of growing up with the violence and chaos and hot, cold and kind of not psychological nurturing, not emotional nurturing or modeling, with a high A score of around, I don't know, every time I do it, it's slightly different, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, it's ridiculous. So here's what I'm trying to get at with you. Keep it real. Once the rage switch is on, baby, better get the fuck up out of the way. That's what's going on. I'm like Robotron, like the Terminator. In my mind, it's like I'm like super, I don't want to say super powered, but I want to say super right. I mean, super justified. And this is what it is. This is the justified anger, right? So try and be aware of this as part of our regular program of recovery. This shouldn't be too much of a stranger to you, but to put it into the context of the Bodhisattva practice in the 12-step Buddhist kind of context here. If we haven't tamed it, this is fascinating. Combating outer opponents will only make them multiply. You think about that. I don't know, I'm not a video game person, but I don't know, just imagine, the endless zombies are coming and you're like trying to shoot them, trying to shoot millions of them. The more you shoot them, they break apart and multiply into more zombies. You can't, the whole army's getting closer. So what are you going to do? Well, therefore, you meet it with your own army of kindness, of loving kindness and compassion. Wow. Fight fire with fire. The wrathful compassion, fierce loving kindness. Give it some life, give it some juice, give it a little bit of gusto. Now we have to understand something here in the way that I speak from this perspective as we begin lately. All the podcasts going with, pretty tantric and ati yoga things. So this kind of talk, if you will. I won't call it teaching. The teaching I follow, I'm trying to kind of deal with you with how I deal with my practice. And this is the teaching that I follow. To tame your own mind is the practice of a bodhisattva, not them. We can't tame them. When's the last time you tamed a motherfucker anyways? Now, who can you tame? Somebody below you? Like, we're so frustrated that we can't tame ourselves that we take it out on others abusively, whatever way we can, right? Whatever way we can. If we feel out of control, we want to project it to someone else, right? So my earlier point is, coming in, from the angle of a high ACEs person, which if it means nothing, check the earlier podcast, look at compassionate recovery, Google ACEs. Coming at it, the amygdala, the fire alarm, the switches, the on switch for rage, the circuitry that was basically fight. Like, look, I have never been, and I don't want to be the whooped dog with the learned helplessness, okay? Now, I'm not a big guy, and I've never been a big guy, but I worked out a lot, and I studied what I could, and I fought as hard as I could, in the gym, and, practice whatever, and, I put as much into that skill and that force, and that training as I possibly could. In other words, I fought back, okay? So I was kicked, and I was punched, and I was strangled, and all these things, and I didn't grow up being the passive person. I'm surely passive aggressive at times. I surely learned that skill, right? So the fight is in me, and I want that. I would rather have the fight. Unfortunately, though, look, if there's nowhere for the fight to go, then who are you going to fight with? You're going to fight with yourself and your own limitations. When you're in your practice seat, whether that's on the yoga mat, sitting in a meeting, or whether you have integrated your idea of practicing into your daily life and into all of your affairs, so to speak, either way, wherever you are, it's like, if you have this fire alarm trigger that can go off, and for you it might be the passive response, and that's not a judgment. And I get it. It's bipolar 2 can drop you into that below normal baseline of depression. So, the idea being that the triggers happen in the rage switch or the depression switch or the social anxiety switch or the whatever it manifests for you. However the trauma manifests, that's the thing that comes on. Coming at it, like, I've got an army of tactics. I've got an army of all kind of, things that I could attack you with and fight back. And really, I do consider myself quite well armed. But what it asks me to do here is says, meet that army, of bullshit coming at you, with your army of loving compassion and this is to tame your own mind. This is for us to tame our own mind. This is the practice of a Bodhisattva. The practice of clarity, microtasking happiness. Well, what do we mean by that? So we've trained ourselves to be distracted. We've trained ourselves not to practice. And by multitasking, by doing everything a little bit and not really being super focused. Now, I can get really multitasking when I'm doing a bunch of practice that involves hand movements, gestures, bells, drums, melody, different language, meaning on multiple levels. There's quite a lot going on, and I can still just sort of keep a conversation going and a train of thought even underneath the practice, just the same way I would if I was playing a jazz tune. In other words, it's a complex situation, but if you take it as a rote task. So this multitasking is sort of like a distraction, and microtasking would be to set our intention. To set our intention and focus on the unconditional quality and the unconditional aspect, the uninterrupted. So to microtask, microfocus, develop some mindfulness training, some focused practice, and understand the difference between a focused practice and an open space practice. A concentrated practice, a concentration, and a zero limitation, a complete absolute resting in the freedom of the instant moment as it arises. And we can take a practice on that if you want. Have a nice deep inhale. Exhale. And on that exhale, it's not forced. It's a letting go. And you just accumulate all the teachings and all the wisdoms and all the sufferings and all of the things that you've tried to understand, and you just let it go with that exhale. Not, but. And it all goes, and everything goes into the absolute. And we'll let go absolutely, as we keep coming back to time after time. To let go of the ego absolutely is to get into the boundless nature of absolute bodhicitta in unwavering space, and you can say perpetual continuity, uninterrupted continuity. This is the energy dimension. This is the energy sort of realm or aspect of teachings, and not to dilute it because it's complex. There are systems, there are masters and trainings and initiations and so forth, but and yes, please do pursue all of it and to really energize and empower yourself, and to become empowered, to learn more, and to be open to more, to have more tools. So I guess I could say empower yourself with microtasking on compassion, because this is the doorway. This is the portal, right? This is what's that old TV show with some sci-fi thing where they go through some round tube deal, where they go through it's like some galaxy thing where they open up the portal and they shoot through it. Anyways, and they wind up in another such and so forth. So, you really do want to step into another dimension. Okay, so you're riding the wave of relative compassion. That means I'm working on my self-compassion, my mindfulness, working on my relative compassion to those closest to me, and etc., and expanding that out to all anonymous, faceless, nameless beings throughout infinite time, beginningless and endless oceans of beings consciously suffering, all of them. Trying to get that, past your mind to the wordless place. Let go absolutely, in this Dzogchen sense, it is really this wordless, empty sky, and even empty of the empty sky concept, and just absolutely beginningless, absolutely unwavering, untouchable, unbreakable, immovable. And you can have all kinds of, you can struggle to put words on it. The masters have described in detail in specific layers of consciousness and labels for every possible thing that there is in the mind, right? And instructions for how to deal with that. And ultimately, the essence and the essential dealio of it all is this absolute bodhicitta. So you're riding the wave of relative bodhicitta, and that gets you over into the portal through the ocean of infinite consciousness of absolute bodhicitta, the supreme Buddha state of all-knowing, all-seeing, all-present, all this Buddha quality stuff. And the Buddha quality stuff isn't something else, somewhere else, someone else. It's you right now, because if not now, when? If not you, who, motherfucker? Get off your ass and work on this. I mean, literally, this is my own. I'm talking to myself here, I really focus my practice more these days because I'm understanding these things after I don't know how many years of really struggling through trying to understand things intellectually, and then trying to understand them in application to, struggling with mental illness and struggling with issues around recovery, and what's medicine, what's not, what's addiction, what's not, and working all these thoughts through, and coming through this entire experience of enlightenment, doing compassionate recovery. I mean, really understanding the root cause, of addiction and trauma and suffering like this for people like me. And I mean, who am I talking to, honestly? I'm talking to people like me. You're the only ones listening. No one else wants to hear any of this, So you're like in the same boat with me. I'm in the same boat with you, and we're all in the same boat anyways, regardless of whether or not we're aware of this. All conscious sentient beings are in this boat. So we have this bridge of the relative into the absolute. But if we take that inhale in and let go completely, let it go, just hover and empty prana is just whoosh, right? So your thoughts go whoosh and they just slip. It's like a slip and slide out into infinity, and your thoughts go whoosh into empty space. And this is the pure nature and the pure essence and the pure element. And here we just can fabricate and just like tune in and just vibrate into compassion, even from the relative sense, in our relative aspect of where we are in our body, speech, and mind, in this relative condition. We can tune it. Just like, singing along with your favorite tune, whoever you like to sing along with. So on that note, try to sing along with compassion tune yourself in on the relative level in every possible way. And we've discussed this, and the entire podcast with the whole Bodhisattva practices, 37 ways, is the path of doing this. Freya, great question. The answer is, yes, this is the unconditional happiness you're asking about, I think. And in the Dharma, this is how we go about it. And understanding this is like, this is for us. This is for us now. This is empowerment now. This isn't dependent on some other time, some other place, some other person, something coming from outside of us. This is... Just let everything dissolve into empty space. From it, create your mantra, Om. But everything dissolves. And we relax there. This is the key. And it's not the place in between thoughts. It's the place that you're aware. Thoughts are coming and going. That's like a mind stream. That's like walking into a movie theater and watching a river flow. It's not, you know what I mean. You're able to see that. In this awareness, in this present moment that we can create, and know and understand this joy, this effusive, boundless, radiant Buddha light nature that are us, that is who we are, is our true condition. Our true condition is Buddha. That's the deal. And if people who don't tell you that, I don't know, fuck them. I don't know what to tell you. This is where I'm coming from, and this is what I follow, this is how I practice. Our real nature is Buddha. We can relax into it if we have some sense and some understanding and some curiosity, and we want to apply ourselves. And one way to do it is through love and through peace and kindness and understanding and applying that on level that's beyond our little relative micro view, and expand that into the global, unlimited view of supreme, omniscient Buddha consciousness that's already there. Can't be fabricated, can't be created. It could be rejected, but it's still there. Open ourselves up to a level of peace, equanimity, relaxation, free of conditioning, free of limitation, and know that love is the deal. Love really is the healing. Love really is the ultimate. You can feel it, and you can allow yourself to feel it and let it expand and grow within you. And remember, as I wrote about in Compassionate Recovery, Mindful Healing for Trauma and Addictions, available everywhere books are sold, as I wrote in that, and as I was trained, all of these practices are dose related. If you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. But if you keep doing it and ramping it up and keep putting more into it and keep evolving and keep developing, the essential secret of the training is that we can evolve into full manifestation of Buddha nature with these skills and practices. That's enough jibber jabber out of me for the week. I will check back with you next time. We'll continue with our Bodhisattva training. Until then, peace out and namaste.